A former Syracuse basketball player who is accused of being Sean Diddy Combs' drug and gun mule is facing 2 felony charges after being arrested at a Miami airport.
Chanley Painter here with the details. Chanley.
Good morning, Todd and Carly. Well, let's start with the arrest of one of Diddy's suspected associates. It's 25-year-old Brendan Paul. He now faces drug charges after police found him to be in possession of cocaine and suspected marijuana-laced candy. Paul is described in a civil lawsuit accusing the rap mogul of sex trafficking as Diddy's drug and gun mule, and according to the Miami Herald, was arrested on the plane linked to Diddy by Homeland Security agents. Combs has, of course, denied all of these allegations, but an official with the Miami-based DHS says, "We are responding to concrete, detailed, explicit allegations. This is not random. Victims may be reluctant to speak at first, but once they start talking, they talk a lot. We are getting a lot of cooperation from a lot of people who want to see him brought to justice." And also speaking out is former backup dancer for Combs. Tanika Ray claims that she just knew to avoid Diddy at all costs, saying, "Yes, I danced for him and kept my space. Nothing that is happening is surprising." And yet, with all this happening, there's still no sign of the rapper himself this week, as his location remains unknown. But here is video of his private jet returning to South Florida Wednesday after about only 48 hours in the Caribbean. It flew there after Monday's raid on Combs' mansions in Los Angeles and Miami by agents who confiscated hard drives, phones, and other evidence in their ongoing investigation against him. Of course, we know, guys, Diddy, he remains a free man, so he can go where he pleases. He's not been charged with any crime or wrongdoing.
Chanley Painter, great setup. Thank you. With that, let us bring in criminal defense attorney Bob Bianchi. Bob, and you know from your experience that once people start talking this much, they finally feel comfortable talking. They're pretty confident there's not going to be any blowback against them. So where does this investigation go from here?
Yeah, this is not an unusual thing where individuals finally come forward. One person kind of like pulls the plug out of the dam, and a lot of people now are empowered and they come forward. Investigators listen to this. It's also not the first time in the context of civil suits that prosecutors become aware of information that typically they would not have become made aware of in the criminal justice process, and they commence an investigation. One thing that I'm going to say that a lot of people seem to have difficulty with when they see something like this is they think that prosecutors and police are going after somebody because they're a high-profile figure. And while there definitely is the influence of the figure and their public nature on prosecutors, typically speaking, they don't make moves like this significant, establishing probable cause before a judge to enter into a location, get phones, get electronic data going to somebody's home, knowing that it's going to be a high-profile case, unless they have a significant belief that significant evidence of criminality will be found at that location. And that is exactly the standard that the judge signing the warrants found based upon the information investigators gave them. Now, of course, he's presumed innocent. No one's saying that he's done anything at this particular point in time. But as a criminal defense lawyer now, after having been a prosecutor for many years, I would look at this as being a very ominous sign for him.
And, you know, Bob, before this raid on his home, he was accused of sexually assaulting both men and women, but those are people that he appeared to know, and he's denied all of that. When you hear sex trafficking, that seems organized and for profit. Is that where this is going? Is that what he's being potentially accused of?
No, this is really hard to say. I mean, that is, you know, right now we don't have all that data, so I'm a little bit more cautious than most people are in jumping into that particular arena. But obviously, you got Homeland Security that's involved in this. They are arguing that there is some aspect of human trafficking. But I think what becomes most difficult, to be honest with you, in a case like this, as a prosecutor, is determining what level of this was being force and coercion, as opposed to individuals who wanted to be part of of the game, wanted to be part of the scene, and then maybe became disgruntled because they've lost access, disgruntled because they didn't get something that they wanted. So it's making that separation. But prosecutors are going to be very careful to make sure that anybody who is saying something negative in terms of either human trafficking or anything worse than that, that they've got independent supporting evidence to those allegations. At least that's what good prosecutors should be doing.
I mean, of course, we will see how big this could get, how far
He hasn't been
beyond
charged with
Diddy.
anything
He hasn't been
yet.
charged with it, but how far beyond Diddy this could potentially, keyword, go. Meantime, Georgia's Fulton County election interference case will be back in court today to hear motions from both sides. It should be noted that these motions are on the merits, including some First Amendment aspects. So could you see the judge potentially dismissing this case on the merits and kind of rendering all the Fonnie Willis stuff irrelevant?
I don't see that, to be honest with you. The judge has done a very thorough job here. In my estimation, the judge has done a very good and meticulous job in dismissing a number of counts already. So it seems unlikely to me that there's going to be more counts dismissed, but you never know. This judge has made it very, very clear that a lot of those counts were unsubstantiated, not supported by basic facts, so those counts went away. Not to mention the rebuking that he rightfully gave to Fonnie Willis for what I have been saying for a long time now is some of the most outrageous and flagrant prosecutorial misconduct that I have seen in a criminal case in a long time. And I just want to make this real quick point on that note. Those people may be positive Trump people, anti-Trump people. I don't look at it that way. I look at it from the criminal justice process, and for somebody who held the very same job that Fonnie Willis holds right now, you have to be beyond reproach. And what has happened now because of hiring either somebody that she wound up in a romantic relationship with or had one beforehand, to me it doesn't make a difference, has now sullied all of the hard work her office has done, all the work her district attorneys have done, all the work that detectives have done. So those who want to see this prosecution go forward have been deprived, and all those people who think it's been politically motivated have been deprived as well. It's a horrible situation.
And this is the first time this case is back in the courtroom since the judge said Fonnie Willis can stay if Nathan Wade goes, which he did. Bob, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, guys. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.